What secret could destroy someone's life if exposed? I know someone who posts all over social media about her miscarriage she suffered. She's named the baby and frequently mentions them by name in miscarriage support groups, etc. She promotes all these groups and does charity walks to raise awareness and money. She's married with 3 other kids. The truth is she had an affair, fell pregnant, and had an abortion. I have no idea if the charade is out of guilt or what, but I think she enjoys the sympathy and attention. It has no impact on me, but I do feel sorry for her husband and kids, and it just makes me feel icky when I see her posts. If anyone in her inner circle found out, it would destroy her and probably her husband, kids. I had a friend like that. Lifelong, our moms are still best friends. She had this idea that she was infertile, and so when I was trying to have a baby, she joined all the pregnancy loss and infertility boards I was on. She married a guy who ended up divorcing her, fraud, when she wound up pregnant, while everybody on the board celebrated her miracle. Eventually, it came out that she once had gotten pregnant with a married or unavailable guy and had an abortion, and somewhere along the line she convinced herself that another pregnancy was impossible. Now I hear, against my will, that she is in training to become a minister. Heaven help us all. To be fair, there's lots of false info that pro-lifers love to trot out about terminating a pregnancy, making it difficult or impossible to get pregnant again, to try and scare people out of getting them. It's entirely possible the friend legitimately believed she couldn't get pregnant after that, as opposed to convincing herself. My friend dated a girl, she got pregnant. He decides to be a stand-up dad despite them breaking up and buys all kinds of stuff for the baby. She miscarried. She did a creepy picture with the miscarried baby. Except she was never pregnant. And the baby in the picture was a realistic doll she bought to keep the ruse intact. It wasn't discovered until much, much later. Right? He found out when she asked him to pay for the doctor bill when she miscarried. She couldn't produce anything showing how much it cost when he asked. I have one of these too. Super ruthless anti-abortion crusader now. That seems to forget about the time, like 20 years ago, she begged me to drive her to get an abortion and wait for her in the waiting room and take care of her afterward. I also don't know if it's out of guilt or what, but she always acts like she'd never. I'd love to call her out publicly, it would be so satisfying. I'd never do it though. She will get hers in the end. Horrible coworker got absolutely smashed at a Christmas do years ago and told me she doesn't think her daughter is her husband's and that she thinks the father is actually someone from work that she had an affair with. Worked with a girl that was sort of the office flirt. She hugged and got very physically close to a lot of the managers. We were out at a work social one night and I saw her texting a contact that was like Jason Jim, making plans to meet up later that night at a hotel. Her husband's name was Tom, and she had 2 kids at home. She took a couple hard passes at me over the years, and if she was single, I totally would have gone for it because she was legit attractive, but I'm not messing with some dude's marriage. I know someone who makes a living as a vegan influencer and community organizer who I've regularly watched eat meat and dairy. Now that would cause a credibility problem. However, as a former vegetarian, I have to ask, are you sure the meat and dairy aren't faux foods made from the plant world? Some are quite convincing these days. I am approximately 6,000% positive, and she freely admits it amongst her friendship circle. I'm just sharing because it's hilarious. When my little sister was pregnant, she decided to be no longer vegetarian. She also weighs about 90 pounds and is tiny. I cooked her first non-vegetarian meal and she ate, no exaggeration, 4 pounds of steak. It was hilarious, and after she was like, I don't feel so good. I think I ate too much. People who don't eat red meat shouldn't just jump into it. You gotta work up to eating meat/animal products depending on what your diet looked like before. Poor thing. My husband was a vegetarian for years before I met him. After we started dating, he decided to dabble his toes back into meat eating again by scarfing down 2 roast beef and cheddar sandwiches from Arby's. That was a bad decision. Oh, she knew that, so it was even funnier. I think it was a pregnancy craving thing. I've still never seen her eat that much food at once. She was like, I just can't stop. She was actually fine and didn't have any issues from doing it. supposedly devout religious woman, cheated on her husband with her personal trainer for a few years. Overheard her bragging to a friend about it. My ex-husband was a personal trainer sleeping with a very religious woman. When I found out, they begged me not to tell her mother because she would have lost her inheritance. This the type of shit that will make a crazy person lose their last straw and murder. No, I did not tell the mother. I didn't even consider telling her mother, but the whole point of it getting brought up was to try and guilt me into complete silence about their affair so no one would know. Small towns, word gets around fast. I would have kept my mouth shut for a nice incentive, lol. Also, on a side note, I am very sorry that your ex put you through that. Please tell me you told her mother. In a diabolical soap opera, this would have played out. You'd have joined the mother's church, turned to her for advice, spilled your heart out about your divorce and everything that went down. Then you get invited to Christmas dinner and feign shock when you see the woman your husband had an affair with at the dinner table, and all is revealed to the mother in a shocking twist of events. I need to get off TikTok. TikTok would have you see 3 seconds of the reveal, followed by an hour searching for each of parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, it's over and done with a long time ago, but my childhood molester became a dentist in a small town in Alaska. I didn't know any of this until much later when I was in my 30s and finally told my mother what happened. He was her half-brother's son. Her half-brother, who also molested her. As they say, the apple didn't fall far from the tree on that one. I was ready to go ballistic on him, report it and scorch his world. Too late, he'd already killed himself. My guess is that someone told. I wonder if the apple didn't fall far from the tree because he was molested too. Just wondering. Makes nothing about all of those, okay? An older lady that I used to take care of admitted to me that her abusive husband slipped and fell into their pool about 15 years ago, and she let him drown. She watched him slip, knock himself unconscious, fall in, and she just walked away, only calling the police hours after it happened. One of my coworkers used to volunteer at a nursing home when she was in high school. She told me that she heard a lot of deathbed confessions. More than one woman told her about how they accidentally on purpose killed an abusive husband. I don't know how, but the ladder just slipped. At the time, my coworker wondered why these people were telling her these things when she was just a kid, but now that she's in her 30s, she realizes that they just needed to unburden themselves to somebody. Or maybe boast about it. Perhaps both. You also get a lot of Depression-era stories about siblings who were sold or starved as infants. I'm guessing, as it shifts over to the boomers, we'll get Vietnam stories and overdose stories. She was from the silent generation before baby boomers. She had a wealth of stories, both good and bad. I just was in total shock when she randomly told me about this one morning. It was lightly raining, and she was looking out the window during breakfast. She just turned to me while I was reading on my iPad and told me everything. I'm pretty sure I didn't blink the entire time. I was and somewhat still am in shock. The lady I took care of was adamant it was her fault, and I think that's why she told me. She had no real family or friends left, as they had all passed away. So I was practically her only confidant. She randomly threw this confession on me during breakfast one morning after I had been taking care of her for quite some time. I told her that I would never judge her, and it wasn't her fault. None of it was. Every situation and a person's reaction to it is different. Her husband was abusive, both physically and emotionally. She was raised to never divorce and always submit to his every whim. Do I wish harm or death on somebody even if they are horrendous? No. Do I have any sympathy for him? No. Apparently he'd been abusive their entire marriage, which if I recall was 50+ years. While I'd never condone hurting somebody else, this was my thought exactly.